let's say new, and the first thing I want to do is under my model, say create a part. Okay, and under part, the same thing as a sketcher, create a sketch. Now it's going to be create a part. So now if you notice, I have a part here, and of course I can bring shapes through the part, Control Z to go back. I can build with shapes. So for instance, if I do cube with whatever dimensions, I can change the dimensions right here. Length, say 20, etc. I can change edit the dimensions. And then I bring a cylinder, then I can do the same thing we were doing before, which is Boolean operations. So if you notice, you can do a difference here, and then you can start building new parts. Okay, but let's say you wanna create your own part from scratch. So in that case, what we need to do is under part, go back to sketch. So sketcher, create sketch, and object is gonna be on the XY plane. That's correct, that's okay. And under model, you're gonna have, under part, you're gonna have a sketch that right now is not finished, there's nothing there. So we start building our sketch. Notice that under the controls, you can show your grid, and you can change the grid size depending on what you want, or you can take care of, or you can basically monitor the constraint and elements. So elements are going to be lines, circles, points. Constraints are going to be distances, if it's parallel, if it's horizontal, etc. So let's create an object here. Let's create a rectangular shape, and it's going to be the same thing. Let's do fix the degrees of freedom by saying that this distance is going to be 0 and that the vertical distance is going to be 0. Okay, now let's do distance for my cube. So let's say it's going to be 10, or actually let's say it's going to be 25 by 25. Okay, and then right click to exit. Okay, so now my shape has a green line, meaning all the lines are green, meaning that it's completely defined. And then by pressing escape, I exit my sketch. So now if you notice, I have a part and sketch. So when I go to my part, the only thing I can do is either go back to create another sketch, or I can say part design. And under part design, I can create a body, which if this part is going to have different bodies, or just basically under part, I can just do as extrude. So I have two options, either part design and do different bodies under a part. So a part could be a whole bicycle where different parts are going to be different tubes and different components, or do a single body is going to be every element that I do. So right now I'm just going to go to part and do extrude. So under extrude, it's going to tell me first of all what dimension I want to extrude. So it's going to be up the Z direction or down. -1 is the normal. We talked about the normal before. So I'm going to say positive Z, so it's going to extrude up. The length is going to be, say, 25 millimeters. And the sketch. So please notice that at this point, if I say OK, it's going to extrude walls. This part right here is not a solid, it's a set of surfaces. Why? Because I'm extruding a line up. So what happens is that those lines are gaining material on the Z direction, which is up, but it's not a solid. So if this is what I want, excellent, it's perfect because I can do a door here, an extrusion to cut through my booleans. But if I want is a solid, then this is not the route to go. The route is go back, keep my sketch, and then from a set of curves, we create a surface and then extrude the surface. So from part, go to surface, and under surface we have a few options, either filling or sections. So what I want to do is filling, and I'm going to be selecting my edges. So if I do that, and this is going to create that surface, but that will not be the surface that I want. This will completely define an enclosed surface, but would have this degree of freedom I'm missing. So I'm going to do that one. So I click on all 4 edges, and then we're going to have a surface with normal pointing up. So when I go to my model, now I have a part that consists of a sketch and a surface. Okay, now I can extrude the surface by going to part, extrude, and the same thing, I want to do 25. Z is going to be my positive Z, or extruding up, and instead of sketch, I'm going to click on surface. So here is going to ask me to create a solid, and I can do yes. Okay, so now I have a solid with all those attributes. Okay, perfect. Now what we can do is build on top of this solid. So in AutoCAD, we had to move the origin or the coordinate system around. Here is much easier. So there's one easy, probably the only thing at which FreeCAD is better than AutoCAD, which is how to build on top of a 3D body. So let's go back and create a sketch, new sketch, let's say on this surface. Or actually, let's do just a sketch on the bottom surface. So if we do sketch and new sketch, and I don't choose any surfaces, then it's going to ask me where. I'm going to say yes, the 0, 0 portion. And then when I type, let's say, a circle, then I specify my radius, which is going to be, let's say, 10 millimeters. And then the location. Still have 2 degrees of freedom. I have to fix my location. So I'll move my location to, say, 12. And move my location to 12.5. Okay. So notice that by double clicking here, I can change and edit my location. All right, that's good. So if you remember, the solid or the sketch was built on the bottom plane. That's where my base XY coordinate system is located at. So what I can do is another extrusion, going to part, extrude that sketch 001, which I should have named better, and I'm gonna keep as create solid. I'm not gonna go through the surface or anything. Just by clicking on create solid, it will do the same thing as creating a surface. Okay, I'm just showing you 2 different routes. Sometimes you're gonna need the surface to basically to merge points, and then you can use the surface for cutting. So it's depending on what you want. I'm just giving you different options on how to build your parts. So if I do create solid, and I say through X along, say, 50 millimeters, when I say OK, it's going to be passing through it. Okay, so if I click that part, in that part, I can go to my Boolean operations and create a cut. Okay, and that is how you would start to build your body. If you want to do a cut on this side, then you can click on this face and then do sketcher, new sketch, ask you that face and say yes. Create your circle. Same thing. A radius of, let's do a radius of 15 millimeters this time, and locate your part at 12.5 and 12.5 from the vertical direction, 12.5, and if you want, you can fix a little bit your rotations so they're a little bit better. You can understand them, then escape to go to your part view, and then you're ready to use this sketch for whatever you want. So either if you want to create material, you can go to either surface or part, whichever you want to do. So you can do a part, and you can extrude. And if you say X and the positive dimension and that direction, is going to basically create a part based on that sketch. Okay, so, or if you go the opposite direction, -1, then you can cut material through your cube.